Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, you feel a sense of foreboding when it comes to the Nigerian state as dark clouds continue to gather over the firmament of that space. This time we're going to America as guys, I bring you this. US places Nigeria on violations of religious freedom watch list. So that's the headline. US places Nigeria on violations of religious freedom watch list. So now let's see now what watch list were being placed on by the Americans this time around. The United States government has added Nigeria to a special watch list, that's SWL, that's the acronym for that, of countries that have engaged in religious violations. The list was announced by the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo whilst releasing the 2019 report of the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom, USCIRF. The report recommended Nigeria's designation as a country of particular concern, that's CPC, because religious freedom trended negatively in 2018. The US also designated Al-Nusra Front, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, the Houthis, ISIS, Khorasan, and the Taliban as entities of particular concern. The report revealed that religious sectarian violence increased during the year, with Muslims and Christians attacked based on their religious and ethnic identity. It also cited the violation of rights of Shia members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, which made Nigeria's designation inevitable. The report stated, on December 18, 2019, the Department of State redesignated Burma, China, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan as countries of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 for having engaged in or tolerated systemic, ongoing, and egregious violation of religious freedom. The department renewed the placement of Comoros, Russia, and Uzbekistan on a special watch list, SWL, for governments that have engaged in or tolerated severe violations of religious freedom, and added Cuba, Nicaragua, Nigeria, and Sudan to this list. Religious freedom conditions in Nigeria trended negatively in 2019. The Nigerian government at the national and state levels continued to tolerate violence and discrimination on the basis of religion or belief and suppressed the freedom to manifest religion or belief. The Nigerian military and government continued to violate the religious freedom and human rights of the Shia members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN. IMN leader Sheikh Ibrahim el-Zakzaky remained in detention. However, in 12 Muslim-majority northern Nigerian states, federalism has also allowed the adoption of Islamic Sharia law in the criminal code. The Nigerian constitution also establishes the roles of customary law and Sharia courts for Islamic personal laws, family matters, etc. So now this is now the American position now. This is effectively now backing el-Zakzaky, and of course they had to take this position really because of course this is a violation of this guy's right to practice his religion. So what exactly the crime this guy has committed still remains a mystery to a lot of Nigerians, because they said he had a run-in with a top military functionary, maybe the Minister of Defense or the Army Chief or whatever. He had a run-in with this guy in 2014, 2015, and ever since then this guy has been incarcerated without any recourse to law, because of course if he has recourse to law and the legal courts have taken a position and you dismiss this out of hand, as seems to be the want of this particular regime, then of course then he does not have any recourse to law. So if somebody now of no clearly defined crime is being detained by a state, and that person, of course, that is being detained is a religious leader, and this state that is detaining this person is of a different ideological stance and an opposing ideological stance to the religious belief of this person that is being detained for no real definable reason, then of course then this is a crime of religion. This guy is effectively being detained on religious grounds, and this is effectively now what the Americans are hinting at, because they are now saying now it is a freedom of worship statutes that they are putting Nigeria on a watch list on. So off the back of this Zakzaky situation, the Nigerian state has now been put in the freedom of worship watch list effectively by the Americans, and really they had no choice, because of course this guy is being detained. The courts have said release him. You've refused to release him, and you've refused to give any justifiable reasons for not releasing this guy. You know, they just detain people arbitrarily within the Nigerian state. And this report has also gone on to tell us that all of the 12 northern states in Nigeria effectively now practice Sharia law. So Sharia law, I'm not quite sure if that is in the Nigerian constitution, but of course the Nigerian constitution facilitates for you living according to your religion, and if they want to say that they're living in accordance to their religion, to live by this sort of Sharia rulings, then that is their want. So it's their region, it's their section of the country. So of course then they have that determination on how to live. But of course we in the southern regions of the country were largely Christians, if not predominantly Christian, but a good mix anyway. So we don't want that Sharia system in our space, because it's alien to us, it's foreign to us, and we view it with suspicion. It's anathemic to the southerners, effectively, to their being, the concept of this sort of law, because we have no understanding of the Arab culture, and of course is really predicated upon the Arab culture, and of course it's based on religion, but is predicated mainly on the Arab culture. So we don't have that within our space, and we don't want it within our space. So what you're looking at within the Nigerian space effectively is two separate countries trying to force themselves into one, because we're completely different, of course, in our mindset and orientation, and anytime we come to the news we find that out immediately again. And this yet again is another instance now being narrated by the Americans, but of course El Zakzaky is the marquee name that they've now used to make this final decision. Nigeria on an American watch list, that is the narrative of this particular storyline, and it's a freedom of worship watch list that they have placed us on. And Boko Haram, of course, have been identified as entities of concern. I think that's the term that they use, entity of concern, and I'm sure entity of interest to the Americans as well. So this is now the narrative coming out of America, negative all the way through with regards to Nigeria, and really there's no indication that anything is going to change to improve this sort of narrative. Come tell me what your thoughts are about how the Americans are positioning on this. But before you do this, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you're feeling, or what your feeling is about the tone and texture and the general feel of the Nigerian state. Let's have a conversation about all this in the comment section. So I'll leave you here, carry on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.